what is going to be the game of the weekend in the Six Nations. It could well end up being here at Twickenham. England-France kicks off in a couple of hours as I'm recording this. But I also think there's a pretty good shout for Scotland against Ireland, and that's what I'm talking about in this video. I thought, I haven't done a preview yet, I haven't reacted to the team news, so I've got time getting to the ground here to have a chat about this game. So welcome back to the channel, let me know. Drop a comment down below, what do you make of the team selection for Gregor Townsend and for Simon Easterby, and how do you see this game going, which I think is absolutely mega. Yes, I know this game here is going to be huge, and from my English perspective, I'm fascinated to see how it goes. Potential wooden spoon decider as well, which has in fact just got underway as I'm recording this, between Italy and Wales. They're three really good games this weekend, but is Scotland-Ireland the biggest of the lot? I think there's a pretty good case to be made that it is. Let's start off with the Scotland team. This is what Gregor Townsend has gone with. 3 changes: Tom Jordan, Rory Sutherland and Jack Dempsey all come in. Tom Jordan is going to be the headline there, coming in at inside centre. Stafford McDowell moves to the bench. McDowell I didn't think had a bad game against Italy, but does Jordan just give Scotland a little bit more? He's had a really impressive start to his international career, and in particular in terms of what he offers Finn Russell. And I think this has been one of the big talking points from a Scotland point of view since that game against Italy, which they won well. They got the 5-point bonus point win. It kick-started their championship. But Russell, let's be frank, had one of his poorer performances, certainly his poorest performance for Scotland in quite a while. And off the back of that, it highlights the Sione Tuipulotu injury again. And we know how good the inside centre has been for Scotland. Many people's favourites to be the number 12 for the Lions later on this year. A huge loss, but in particular, I think we saw the impact of the Tuipulotu loss on Finn Russell last weekend, because he gives you the go-forward kind of traditional inside centre play that we normally see from, say, a Bundy Aki, but he also has the hands. He can be a playmaker, he can shift the point of attack as well, be that pivot, which I think Scotland really missed. I think selecting Tom Jordan is them trying to give Finn Russell that option so that he gets back somewhere close to his best. One really interesting line I saw, I think it was from the press conference that Gregor Townsend had ahead of the game, was they essentially don't want Finn Russell to think about running the attack too much. They want it to be instinctive, and perhaps the suggestion being that against Italy he was trying too hard. He was thinking having another playmaker just complements him, means he's playing instinctively, and we all know how dangerous he is when he does that. In terms of the other changes, I mean, Jack Dempsey coming back in, he's had a few injuries, hasn't he, but has been very good in that Scotland back row. Moves Jamie Ritchie onto the bench. Ferguson moves onto the flank rather than being at number 8. I think that's a positive change. I think that is adding quality to the starting team. And Rory Sutherland hasn't started for ages for Scotland. Is it back in the summer, or was it the year before? I forget now. Anyway, it's been a long time since he started. We've seen Pierre Schoeman starting for the Scots. He's going to be coming off the bench, so you've got his quality in terms of the scrummage as your replacement, which I think is going to be key, because I'll get onto the bench when I talk about Ireland. And then Sutherland, who I've always thought is a pretty solid scrummager. I mean, he got on the Lions tour last time around. He's a good player. I think there's speed, I think there's dynamism there from the Scots selection, which I suppose is what England tried to do. England last week spoke about playing at speed, moving the ball, basically picking 7 open sides in their back row. Is this something that teams are identifying with Ireland as the best way of trying to get at them? Maybe. Seems to be, I think, what Scotland are trying to do this weekend. On to Ireland. It is the great discussion in Ireland at the moment. Certainly, I think the only discussion happening in terms of Irish rugby, which is who do you go for at fly half? Is Jack Crowley unlucky to not be selected, or is it right to give Sam Prendergast the opportunity? Crowley got more opportunities last year. There was this kind of feeling that he hadn't exactly taken the fly half position by the scruff of the neck and made it his own. He had some really good performances, some which weren't quite as strong, but he was very good coming off the bench against England. He was a really important steadying hand, benefited that he had Jack Conan and Dan Sheehan and all the other experience that also came on, Ian Henderson I think as well around the same time. That helps when you have players of that quality coming on with you, but he looked very controlled. And so there's this debate at the moment. Has Sam Prendergast done enough to be given the starting jersey? Or actually is the correct option Jack Crowley? I guess we'll wait and see, in all honesty. I don't have a huge issue with them going with Prendergast because they clearly view him as the guy for the future, rather than giving him one start in the Six Nations and then putting him on the bench and chopping and changing. There's a level of continuity there and not knocking his confidence for the reason you start him again. But it's another real challenge for him, isn't it? Like, England at home on the opening weekend is a tough challenge, and he had a mixed game. He struggled at times. And going away to Scotland is a match which could define both of these teams, Six Nations, really. So great opportunity for him. Let's see how he goes. I hope he goes well, but yeah, Jack Crowley, which camp are you in? Is it also split between Leinster and Munster lines? Like, is that ultimately what it comes down to, or are there people on the Leinster side that think it should be Crowley and vice versa? Irish fans, you can let me know. The final thing I'll say on Ireland, again, is that bench, which I mentioned already. It was so good, so impressive, had such an impact against England last weekend. It's another very strong looking bench. Baird moves on to it. Peter O'Mahony comes in. I guess O'Mahony just gives you that kind of nous and needle, and both camps have kind of played down any sort of animosity between the two teams. I wonder whether that's true or not. I saw Jim Hamilton, the former Scotland player, and you'll all know him from the Rugby pod as well, like basically say it's nonsense, like there's proper needle between these teams. I just wonder whether O'Mahony's selection in part is down to that, because we know he will get in your face. He's an absolute workhorse. He's hard as nails. So maybe that's the reason for that. But I think the bench, really important. And I'll finish off with how big is this? Like, it's always the thing with the Six Nations, isn't it? When you've got 5 games, the fortunes of your championship can completely change depending on the result. But from a Scotland point of view, they win this and you're thinking it's on. They then come here after the rest week to play England, the team they've beaten the last 4 times, and they would be eyeing that game against France away on the final weekend, thinking that will potentially be a Grand Slam decider, potentially a championship decider, a point in the championship that they've never been able to get to. They've never got to that final weekend, still in with a shot of winning it. They win today. The excitement, the expectation, the hope from the Scotland fans' point of view, I think will really, really continue to grow. So it's a huge fixture for them. And likewise with Ireland, there's kind of this feeling, and I was a bit guilty of this, of expecting Ireland to drop off in the Six Nations, just because, look, they'd won the last 2, there was no Farrell, Prendergast, the young guy coming in, they didn't look quite as sharp. We've gone over all of those things before. They go 2 out of 2 with Wales, Italy and France still to play. France at home. Could be another Six Nations on. Could be another Grand Slam on for Ireland. It would be a remarkable achievement for a team that our perception of they're not as strong. And that could be what we see this weekend. A team that just know how to win. It's partly what we saw last week. I don't think it was just that. I think ultimately they were better than England, and that's what we saw as it played out across the full 80. But I remember this actually when England, do you remember when, I think it was when Eddie Jones first came into England, and they won the Grand Slam, they went on an unbeaten tour of Australia, and they went like a record amount of games unbeaten. There were quite a few games within that run where they didn't necessarily play that well, but they won. Like, they were a team that had learned how to win and what it took. And I just wonder, through all the experiences that this Irish team have had, if that's where they are a little bit as well. Like, they know how to win, they know how to get the job done, and that could be crucial come Sunday. I'll leave it there. Give me your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you like the video as well and hit that subscribe button. Subscribe to the channel. Enjoy the game. Enjoy all the action this weekend. I'll see you in the next one.